Have you guys done any homework? Yeah, because HTML and CSS is quite crucial to Angular, because it will become a very basic. At least you need to know in order to learn Angular. All right. So yeah, so I believe you guys did, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's start the other part. JavaScript. It is a programming language. Okay. So today's agenda will be I'm gonna introduce you what is JavaScript, and quickly go through the variable, operator, function, and the if-else statement. There are lots of things to show you, but because we only have 1 hour here, yeah, probably I will go through very quickly. If you don't understand, go back and do the homework afterward, because there'll be a homework later for you to hands-on and get your hand dirty to the code. All right. And the other thing will be how to debug, because you know how to write JavaScript and you need to know how to debug. Otherwise, if there's any issue, you don't know what happened. All right. And the next thing, I'm gonna introduce you the browser object model, which is Boom. Is a JavaScript default object where you can interact with the browser. And the last thing, DOM, document object model, which is the document object in HTML. They converted to object so that you can use JavaScript to manipulate the element inside the HTML. Okay, shall we start? Right, sorry. Oops. Right. So JavaScript is actually not Java. It has no related to Java actually. Yeah, it is used to write an interactive processing run in a browser. From last week, you have learned about the HTML and JavaScript, HTML and CSS, but those are static elements, so you cannot change. But with JavaScript, it will help you to like show and hide the element, change the class so that the styling will change, things like that. All right. So I will start with the basic, with the history of JavaScript. Okay. Last time, for the when the first browser is born, which is Netum, Netscape, I guess. Yeah, and it is written in Java, and that at that time there's a HTML and CSS only, but we cannot manipulate the element inside the HTML, which is quite boring, and everything there is static, right? And then there's a guy coming from the Netscape company, created a script. At the time, they call it Mocha, and afterwards they rename it as a live script. Okay, but at the time, 1995, they introduced to the world. They rename it again, called JavaScript. Okay, but at the time there are quite a number of browsers showed up as well, which is Safari. This is Opera and also IE. We have different browser, but JavaScript has to be standardized so that when the time programmer are writing script, and it can be used across the browser. At the time, 1997, EMAScript was established. So they renamed the JavaScript to EMAScript. However, JavaScript was introduced to the world, and it is so well known. And even though they changed the name to EMAScript, but JavaScript is still widely used until nowadays. All right. So if you heard about EMAScript or ES something, so it's actually referring to JavaScript. Okay. So we fast forward a bit until the year of probably 2009. So at the time, Google Chrome is out, Firefox, and also Safari. Yeah, and they come up with another standard called JSON. JSON is an object. And at the time, JavaScript become very popular. Okay, and yep, and they come up with the version called ES5, and most browsers are supported nowadays. Yeah, and also if you look at the 2015, ES6 is probably a new version of JavaScript, and at that time they try to push to every browser to support it. Even though for some of the API right are not supported by some browser, um, yeah, I think there will be a workaround to make it work, right? So let me probably show you where to look for that. Okay, so if you type the mdn JavaScript, so you'll find this, and there's a documentation for that. Maybe for every documentation that you see, right, if you go right at the bottom, you'll see the browser compatibility. So they'll show you from what version onwards the browser will support that JavaScript. Yeah, if you look at the IE, I think it's the worst one. Yeah, but it come up with another version called H to overcome the issue. Okay, so yeah. Okay, and yeah, so nowadays most of the browsers support EX6, or in another word we call it EMAScript 2015 onwards. Yeah, and now I think they come up with EMAScript 2020, but it's not finalized yet. And yeah, JavaScript keep revolving, and I think it's safe to learn from now because most web development require JavaScript. Yeah. So yeah, the next thing, if you talk about JavaScript, right, we talk about functional programming. It is not an object-oriented programming. If you heard about object-oriented programming, which is OOP, you learn about classes, function, maybe inheritance, interface, those kind of thing. But in functional programming, there's no such thing called classes. Okay, it's all about function. Whatever you write is function. So you only maintain function in the file and reuse the function. So whenever you use a function, you put it input, you expect some output. Okay, that is functional programming, and which is JavaScript is a functional programming as well. So there's no classes, there's no interface, there's no encapsulation, those kind of thing. Yeah, so everything will be a functional programming. You will see every function in the file only. Yeah, there's no other thing like class. And also another behavior of JavaScript is that it is a non-blocking IO. For your information, in IO is stand for intensive operation. That means if they're trying to do something heavy or need some time to run, for example, the browser need to call back to a backend server to get some data. Normally, it will not wait for that process to be done. If you look at the other language like C# or Java, they probably will wait at that line until the process is done, then only move to the next line. But in JavaScript, those intensive operation, right, will JavaScript will not wait for that. So it will immediately go to the next line and move forward. And you might be wondering, how does JavaScript handle those intensive operation? Yeah, so there will be a function passed in, and there will be a function passed into the function that you call. Okay, whenever the operation is done, they'll call the callback function. So intensive operation will be responded to a callback. Yeah, this is how it works in JavaScript. All right. So if you learn about JavaScript, you need to remember these two are the characteristic of JavaScript. Okay. All right. So let us start with the basic to declare a variable. So if you look at JavaScript, right, it is quite similar to C#. C#, the latest C# support var. There's no strong type for JavaScript. So whatever you do, right, you put a var in front and with a variable name. And this is how we declare it. So if you have to initiate a variable with a value, you just assign directly to the value. Okay. So give you some example. So var1 equal to 1. So at the first line, you'll see 1 will become a numeric variable. And same go to the second one, var2 equal to 2, because we assign a string to the 2 variable. So the 2 will become a string variable. If we declare the third line, the 3, and without assign anything to it, so this variable will become undefined. Undefined means we do not define the type of this variable. So it can be anything. All right. So, and this is the flexibility of JavaScript. There's a good point and a bad point for it also. I'll show you later. All right. So the next thing, JavaScript allow user to declare a variable without the var keyword. It will work without any issue. All right. So you look at that, right? If you run that into your script in the browser, it will not show you any error, and you're allowed to go through, and it will work also. Okay, this is the flexibility of JavaScript. Okay, but this is not encouraged. Okay, because if you declare something without var in front, sometimes it might override some global value. I'll show you the example. Okay, so if let's say we have a function on top, the function called submethod. Okay, inside the function, we have a variable called temp. I declare it without a var. So temp equal to I was all written. Okay, this probably just a string itself. All right. So move next to the function. We have a temp variable. We declare it with var, and we assign a value called I love JavaScript, and we run the function. Okay. So after we run the function, if I were the programming, I would expect the temp will still be I love JavaScript. Okay. However, if you run the function, submethod function, and if you go to the next line and you console.log to see what are the values stored inside the temp, you'll be surprised, say, hey, the value is changed. So it become I was all written. Okay, this is the bad side of JavaScript. All right. So you really have to be careful of the declaration. I know sometimes it's flexible, but yeah, too flexible, I don't think it's a good thing. Yeah. So just have to be careful on that. And yeah, JavaScript is actually a loosely type. You can use one variable and assign whatever value to it. It can be a numeric, it can be a string, it can be a decimal, and so on. So if you look at the example here, we declare a one variable and we assign one to it. On the second line, we assign a string to it and it will be accepted and it will run through without any problem. The third line, we assign a decimal to it and it will still run through. Okay, so this is the loosely type of JavaScript. Okay, and JavaScript can be very, very powerful because you can even assign an anonymous function to it. So if you look at the example here, the get last name equal to function, then we have to pass the family name to it. Yeah, so how to use this is that, okay, if you assign a function to a variable and you can call it by using the variable name plus a bracket and you run. Okay, this is the flexibility of JavaScript. Okay, however, you have the function have to be defined first before it invoke, otherwise you get undefined error. Okay. Okay, so the next thing, var, it is too flexible, but sometimes it create problem to the user too. I'll show you why. First thing, hoisting. If you look at the example here for the first line, if you assign a number 5 to a variable x without using a var, okay, and you use it in the middle, like a document get element by id, you get an element, and then you assign the x to that element, and afterward on the last line you only declare the x. It will work without any issue, and this is, but to us, right, is an issue because the flow isn't right. We're supposed to declare var x first before before you use the value, but in this example we use first before we declare. The flow is already wrong, so we call this flow hoisting. Okay, the next thing is that it allows us to redeclare the variable. If you look at C# or Java or any other language, if you declare a variable twice, it'll show you an error. But now in JavaScript, you are allowed to declare twice, okay, which is it's not a good thing because we probably cannot trace the variable and what are the value stored inside the variable, things like that. Okay, the third issue. Okay, if you look at example here, we create a variable I equal to 5 and we plan to use it later. But if we use a for loop and with index is I, after the for loop is done, right, we move to the next line. But however, you'll see the I created before is overwritten by the index. Yeah, so this is something I think probably we don't expect it to happen here. So yeah, the EMA script standard hears and they come up with another standard called let and constant. Okay, so nowadays if you go to any JavaScript tutorial, they probably will show you the var as a declaration. But however, in the latest one, they will ask you to use the let and constant instead of var because okay, you solve some problem of var, right? So the first thing, it will prevent the hoisting. So if you declare a variable first, okay, and then you assign a value to this variable, and then you use the variable, and on the last line you need to do a declaration, and it'll show you a reference error. Okay. The next thing is that the let will prevent overwriting the global value. If you look at the example here, if you use let x equal to 1 and you have the other if statement right below, and within the if statement you have let x again, and the second let x, right, is limit within the if else statement scope. Okay, it will not expose to the global. So if let's say they move out from the if, right, so the x, they'll refer to the first x variable. Okay, all right. The third thing, if you declare variable with the same name twice, it'll show you an error. They don't even let you run also. All right, so I'll show you a syntax error. Okay, so yeah, so if you were to declare a variable, use let or use constant. So the constant the difference of constant between with let, right, constant you only can assign once, which is the first time. Yeah, if you try to assign on the second time, you'll get error. But let, you can assign multiple time. Okay, but it's the same thing. Okay, all right. So if you declare a variable, most of the time you'll see undefined and null, and most people are confused between these two. What is undefined and what is null? Okay, so undefined here, that means, right, if you declare a variable and you haven't assigned any value to it, you become undefined. That means you don't know what type of this variable is, and you don't know what is the value to, so it become undefined. Okay, so if you look at the example on the right, so if you declare a name variable without assign any value to it, it will be undefined. Okay, to now, if let's say you know this variable is integer type, all right, but you probably want to have an empty value to represent this variable is blank. Okay, so at this time you can use a null instead of undefined, because if you look at undefined, right, undefined more toward you haven't assigned any value to it, so you don't know what type is this, and you don't even know what is this for. But to now, right, you know what is this variable for, but the value is blank. Okay, so you probably will see this too in the JavaScript development a lot. All right, so up until now, do you guys have any question? Yeah. Okay, so far so good, no question. All right, and let's go to the next. Okay, the operators. Okay, JavaScript will have similar operator across Java, C#. I think they are the same, just that there are few things are not the same. Okay, let me go through one by one with you here. So you see the double equal. That means we are comparing two variables. The exclamation mark and the equal is not equal to. Okay, but if you look at the third one and the fourth one, right? Yeah, I'll come back to you later because I'm gonna show you some example. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one, greater than. I think this is quite common. Greater than or equal, or less than and less than or equal. This is quite common. Yeah, if you were a programmer, you probably is familiar with this. All right, and yeah, so the only four are quite confusing is are these four. So let me show you why. Okay, double equal, that means compare one variable to another. But if you look at double equal, right, there's an issue because variable is so flexible. If you can assign a 5 integer into a variable, at the same time, if you look at variable y, you assign a 5 but in string format to it. If you compare with double equal, it will return you true. You can actually compare an integer with a string and you still get a true here. So this is another problem of JavaScript. Instead, they implement another thing, which is the triple equal. Triple equal is a strong type. That means you need to compare two same type, then they only return you true. If you look at the example on the right, you created an x variable with assign 5 into it, and you create a y variable with assign and assigning the string 5 to it. If you compare with triple equal, you get false. Okay. Same go to the not equal and strict not equal. Okay. Right. The next thing will be the assignment operator. So the assignment operator, right, is a shorthand operator, which is to fasten your development. At the same time, you don't need to maintain so many code. Yeah, but if you look at that, right, that would be a lot. But in real time, I probably use this tool only. Okay, the assignment x equal to y, which is I showed you earlier, and the other one is x plus equal y. That means x equal to x plus y is the same thing, just that you can write it shorter only. Okay, if you look at the previous one, there are a lot, but in my career of development, I seldom use that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, do you guys have any question for these operators? Let's check. Yeah. No. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next one. If else. Okay. If else, it is quite simple, but I bring it up here just because there are some very weird scenario I have to alert. I have to show you so that you know what it is. Okay. So for if else in JavaScript, if you can put a condition here. The condition here is the one I showed you earlier in this comparison operator here. You probably have to use this in the condition and then yeah, do something if the comparison returns true. Okay, so give you some example below. You declare an hour variable and assign 10 into it. If this hour variable is smaller than 18 and you log it with a good day. All right, this is how this is the usage. Okay, and we have a problem here. So just now I told you there will be undefined, there will be a null issue in this variable. If you look at the example here, we declare a comment variable, all right, without assign any value to it. And if we use it in the if condition, it'll give you a reference error because the comment is undefined and you cannot proceed. Okay, so if you look at this case, right, probably you think of something like this. Okay, you need to handle an undefined, you need to handle a null, and then you only compare the string. Okay, so for one variable, you have to compare 3 times in order to fulfill the requirement. Okay, but however, if you look at this, right, wouldn't it be too lengthy to write the code? If let's say this comparison required to compare maybe 4 variable, and then the line will be like 4 times 3, it will be equal to 12. So it will be really lengthy. And this is not a good way to, right? And then there's another way to write it. Okay. If you look at the example on the right, if you put if and then the variable in it, it will help you to check if this value is not null or this value is not undefined. Okay, if this value is NaN stands for not a number, or this value is empty, or this value is 0 or false, you return false. And then with this, right, we can probably write it shorter. Okay, look at the example below. We declare a comment without assign any value to it. Okay, for this comment, right, if we need to fulfill the condition, and then we just use something like this: if comment double n comment equal to testing. So the first condition will help you to check whether this value is not null, it's not undefined, it's not none, it's not empty string. And then it will only check the second condition. And this will help. It will be much better compared to this, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Create a function. Yep. Okay. After I introduce you a variable, a comparison operator, and next a word function. So the function can be as simple as this function with a function name, and you write the implementation within the function. Okay, look at the example below. We have a sum function with accepting a num1 and num2 as input, and then we return with the output. Okay, this is how we can use this. But in JavaScript, right, there are a few ways to write a function. It's not only as simple as this, but sometimes you'll see another way of writing a function. Okay, like I mentioned to you earlier, you can declare an anonymous function and assign it to a variable. Okay, so in the example here, you can declare a variable called function name, let function name equal to the function, and then you write your implementation in there. Okay, so if you look at the example here, right, it is the same like what I showed you earlier, and it will be accepting 2 input and return 1 output. All right, so and next one, you'll be even surprised because yeah, it's the same thing again, but another way to write a function. They call arrow function. I think this is a new one in ES6. Okay, you can create a variable called function name equal to a bracket, and then use an arrow function and put some implementation into this, into here. Yeah, and in this example, right? Okay, I created a let some variable, and I accept 2 parameter. Okay, and I return 1 output. So it's exactly the same like what I showed you earlier. Okay, so there are 3 ways to declare a function. That's why I need to show you, otherwise you'll be confused. So, but looking at this, what is this? And I don't understand. Yeah, so yep, the next thing is how to debug. Okay, yeah, there'll be a lot of JavaScript component, but probably I cannot show you all because we have the time limit here. So yeah, we proceed to an important one, how to debug. Okay, last time if we were to debug JavaScript, there's no Chrome dev tool. Yeah, so you need to use a console.log to log your message, and there'll be an output in how to say that, I can't remember the name already, but it's really tough to debug last time, where there's a Chrome dev2 is not there yet. Okay, and alert, yeah, last time I always use alert instead of the console.log, because alert, right, it'll prop up a model and show your message there. So if you were a very, very old developer, right, this is not something new to you. You will become very, very familiar with this alert. Yeah, or use a debugger. Okay, you can actually put a debugger in your code, and whenever the code hit this line, you stop there. It's sort of like a breakpoint in Java or C#. We don't have breakpoint in JavaScript last time, so we need to use a debugger. Okay, and if you, yeah, nowadays there is a Chrome dev2 in Firefox. They'll have a dev2 too. In IE, we have to, you can go to the file and put a breakpoint there. Whenever the code hit the breakpoint, and it'll stop there, and then you can do debugging. Okay, yeah, before I proceed to the next one, any question from you guys? Okay, no, and then I do a demo here. Okay, let me zoom out a bit. Okay, good. So the basic one. Okay, so yeah, as yeah, like normal, we have to create a file called index.html. Okay, let me show you. So you simply create a folder. Yeah, name your folder. and go to the folder, you can sorry, I'm not used to use this. Yeah, so you just have to create a file called index.html, right? And then you type HTML column 5 and put a tab there. It'll show you the template. Okay, from there you can start working on this. Okay, I created this beforehand because I want to put the item that I need to show you. All right, let's start. Okay, declare a variable. So to declare a variable in HTML, right, you need to have a tag called script. So what you need to do here, so you need to create an element called script and open and closing, and then you can write your JavaScript inside this element. Right, let's start. So to declare var a equal to a. All right, so this is how it works. And yeah, but in the example just now, we are not encouraged to use var, so use let. Okay, so this is done. Okay, and yeah, I probably need to show you how to do debugging as well. Let me open this. So to open this, double click. Okay, you need to right click and inspect. It'll show you the Chrome DevTool. Okay, so you see your variable here. Not sure whether it can show up here or not. Okay, you see, if you type A, it'll show you the A because the console will actually go here, right? To they are sharing with each other. So yeah, everything here you declare in the element, it show up in console, so you can use it directly. Okay. Okay. The next thing, loosely type. Okay, let me declare another variable. Call this is number num1. Then we assign 1. Oh, sorry. I think I need to create a script as well. Okay. Okay, num1. And then with using the num1, I can assign another string to it. Okay. So here, this will become a string. Okay, let me show you how we do it. Console.log. Then we use a thing called type of. And put a num1. Okay, so come back to here, we refresh it. You'll see a string. Okay, if you click the link here, it'll show you where it logged. Okay. Okay. Yep. So you'll see a string here. Okay. So let me comment this so that it won't create noise to it. Okay. The third one, create a function and assign to a variable. So yeah, same thing, script. So let maybe sum, I use back the one I showed you earlier, function num1, num2. Okay, return num1 plus num2. Okay, and we can call this function by using let amount is equal to sum 1 plus 2. Okay, and we console.log amount. All right, save it. Then we go back to Chrome and run it. Okay, you see they show 3 here. Okay, if we click here, they'll go to the script that I write here, which is 3. So this is how I debug. Okay, and yeah, the var and the let constant. Okay, let me show you. Okay, if we use a var here, var maybe I take the example just now and go to 100. Okay, so we use a for loop here. Var I equals 0, I less than b5, I plus plus. Okay, I need to format a bit so that you look better. Okay, and then here we console.log, see what is the value inside. All right, so we probably have to comment code here. Okay, so let's see what is the value inside. Okay, you see this is 5, but if you look at the code I showed you just now, I assign the I to 100, but after it goes to the for loop here, it becomes 5. So this is the disadvantages of using var. Okay, but don't worry, all this can be fixed by using a let here. Okay, if I change the var to let, so all the code remain the same. Let's see what is the value inside. All right, so clear the console, refresh it, you see it become 100. Okay, so that means, right, this I is not overwritten by the I inside for loop. Okay, and it is safe. Cool. Okay, next, let's go to the next one. Okay, undefined and null. So yeah, uh, to create an undefined value, either you don't declare the variable or you just declare without assign any value to it. Okay, let me show you. Let maybe undefined one. Okay, or you console.log undefined one. Okay, or we do another one, we don't declare the variable and we assign the variable into the console.log. See what is the value there. Okay, undefined 2. All right, so let's head to the Chrome here. Oh, sorry, let's do again. Okay, so the 2 is not defined. Okay, the first one show you undefined. Okay, the second one will show you an error. So it's not defined, that means it's undefined as well. Okay, yep. And now, right, I need to comment this one so that it don't show error. So to use now, to represent this variable is empty value. Okay, num1. Probably don't use num1, num4. Okay, so you just assign now into it. Okay, when we do the console.log, you put a num4 type of num4. Okay, you see it is now. Wait. How come it is an object? Okay. Okay, let's see. So yeah, it become now the type of is an object. Okay, yeah. So let's, yeah, I think it's done. Okay, and then the next one is the operator and if else. Let me close this too. Let's proceed to the second demo here. Okay, let me show you the equal and straight equal. These two really make a big difference. So if I declare let maybe num1 equal to 1 and let num2 is equal to string 1. Okay, and we compare if const num1 is equal to num2. Okay, we console.log. This is equal, loosely equal. Okay, otherwise we console.log. Not equal. Okay, and yep, let's run it. Okay, let's open the console here. Not sure I can zoom it or not. Yeah, here. So it'll show you the loosely equal. Okay. Okay, let me show you the other one. If we put a triple equal here, straight, change a bit. Okay, straight equal. Okay, if we put a triple equal here, right? So from here we'll compare num1 with num2. Suppose we'll go to a straight equal. Okay, let's come here. Okay, yeah, show you a straight equal. That means it will compare only the same type, but not the different variable type. Okay. The second one is the undefined and null check. Okay, this one I can show you here. Okay. You use this quite often. Let me create a variable for maybe a test equal to empty string. Declare something like this. If we use a if condition, so if you are a newbie, right, probably you think of writing like this. Is equal to undefined and test equal to now and test equal to something. This is the final thing you want to check. Maybe it's test. And then you only do the implementation below. Okay. So now I show you two examples here. Maybe console.log. Longer. Okay. Condition. Another one. If test. Okay. And then we do a test is equal test. Okay. Then we write a console.log here. Shorter condition. Okay, then we put a value here. Maybe maybe a test. Then, yeah, I think I run this one first. Let me comment out the one on top. Okay. So normally for this one, they're allowed to go through without showing any log here. All right. Again. Okay, no log. Okay. Yeah. So if I will put some text here, it's equal to test. Okay. You go in, but this condition and this condition are the same. Okay. Let me clear the console here. Refresh. How come the longer condition doesn't work? Test. It's not, sorry. Yeah, sorry, my mistake. So yeah, you need to check it's not undefined, it's not now, then you only check this one, then you only go in. Okay, so sorry for the mistake. Yeah. Okay, so but if let me show you the error. Okay. But if I were to declare a variable and straight away put a condition like this, and it will hit error. Okay. Hey, where's the error? Suppose I show you the so sorry about this. Yeah, so sorry about this. I think it doesn't show error anymore. Last time it used to show error. Yeah, I think the browser just handled this.
Yes, but it does not give us the desired results. That's the thing, that it does not check the condition. It did not go into the if condition.
Yeah,
We also have a question in the chat section from Yong Shin C.
yep.
Uh, Usually, in what situation do we use the double equal to, and when we use the triple equal to?
Okay. Um, okay. Normally, in this the latest JavaScript programming, right? They always encourage you guys to use the triple equal. It's not double equal because we need to check the type between two variable. So double equal is not encouraged to use. But if you have legacy code, right, you still can use because if the thing run, normally we don't touch. So it still allow the double equal work. But in the incoming development, please use a triple equal instead of double equal. So because the double equal is not encouraged anymore. Yeah. So if you go to
I,
search on,
but to support this, I'll also give a actual scenario. Let's say we use JavaScript in our any project. I had a website, and there I am using JavaScript to store some variables. Let's say some user selected, he added an ID somewhere, and he so now that ID could be maybe in it is numeric, but it could be like I might have stored it in numeric, and I might have stored it in string character also, right?
I think you
Now,
can try to change it to the same type. Then you only compare.
yes, yes, but the thing is why we have to compare it is the thing here. Let's say, but in my code where I will be using this value, I need it into the integer type. If it's a string, it will give me an error, right? So there, before passing it on, I want to check if it is right or not. If it is not right, I might want to cast it into string and something like this. So some places where you have to pass the code to your actual, like C sharp or any other language where you are using to your website portion, where you are writing the business logic, saving it into the database and everything, you might need that condition to check whether they're of the same type. And there comes a triple equal to thing. So putting into the business scenario.
I think for the same type, you can use this type of. to check the type of the variable. Yeah, it will return you maybe like
Mm-hmm.
type of num1 probably is equal to a string or number, things like that. Yeah. So normally, if you would like to use a double equal, right, it's really strongly not encouraged unless you have your reason to do so. Yeah, but if you were to compare a string with a integer, but make sure you convert the string to the integer and you have the same type, then you only do a comparison. And this would be the recommendation. Yeah. So yeah, any question? Yeah, no. I think let's go to the next one. Okay, we have cover a basic, we cover operation. Then next go to the next one, debugging. Okay, I think I have some example here, but let me remove it. Okay. Okay. So here, console.log, I show you just now quite a number of time. In order to use a console.log, you need to put a script here, script, and console.log. And then you can put a variable or you can type a text here too. That's the thing. So it will show up where it's in here a dev chrome 2 and it'll be here the console here, right? So let me open this up. Go to console. Yeah, you'll see a testing here. Okay, this is how we do. That's why if you go to any website, right, probably you'll see a lots of console.log. Let me show you the example here. I believe there's oh yeah, they don't have. Think maybe I think Facebook does it. Okay, if you go to Facebook, last time, yeah, if you look at here, right, console, right, yeah, if you open the Chrome Dev2, okay, and if you open a Facebook, they'll ask you to stop, okay, and yeah, all these things are logged using the console.log, okay, and next, let's see, alert. Okay, because last time when the IE7 come out with the, I mean similar kind of tool like the Chrome Dev tool, there's no way we can do a debugging. So the only thing we can use like is this alert. Okay, alert. Hi. But this alert used to give us another issue as well. Sorry, it should be this one, the third one. Okay, it'll pop up something like this and with the information inside. Okay, so the issue with this alert is that whenever this model show up, you cannot do anything in the browser. Yeah. Last time, if you there's on because last time IE were the most powerful browser before Chrome and Firefox launch, and whenever there's a model like this showed up, you cannot go to other tab as well. Yeah, that's why alert afterward is not really um, important anymore because they have the Chrome 2 to overcome this problem, and we can do a console.log or a do debugging there. So it's really user friendly. Okay. So the next thing we can use is debugger. Debugger is one of my favorite because it will stop somewhere I need to debug. Let me show you. Let me create some variable here. Let test1 equal to test1. Okay, and we put a debugger here because if you write a functional programming, so your website probably not only have one, two function, but you have a lot of function. Like a website like Facebook, like Google. Probably if you want to go to dig into the code, right? You'll see the code is really unsearchable. Yeah, let me show you one example. Maybe medium. You inspect this. So if you go to source, let me make it smaller. Yeah, you see there are lots of file here. So because the file is really minified and you really can't find your code actually, it's not readable here, you see. It's all in one line. All right. So my favorite to use the debugger here is that whenever you save it, so you just have to refresh the web page. Whenever the JavaScript hit the line, you stop there immediately. So if you look at the panel here, this panel, you probably can see all the variable that you use here. You see, the test1 equal to test1. So this is where I can debug and I can write my write some script inside the console. Maybe like alert test1. It showed up too. Okay, you can use the variable within the scope here. Okay, so you can continue like this. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. Okay, I think the other one is the dev Chrome 2, which I always use just now. Okay, so if you open up, let me close this one. Okay, right click, go to inspect. Okay, go to the third tab, which is sources. Find your file. Okay, and within your file, right, you'll see your content. So in your content, if you go to JavaScript, you can put a breakpoint there. Okay, for example, I put it here. So if you refresh, it'll hit just like what debugger do. It's the same, just that if you use this way, you have to locate your code and where the line you want to debug. But if you use a debugger, it'll help you to locate the break whenever it hit the line. So this is the difference. So you can see a num1 is 10, num2 is 9, or you can see under this panel. Okay, this is how we debug here. Okay, all right. So we have done with this debugging. And the next one, I think I'll go back to slide. Okay, so far any question, guys? Okay, no question. Very good. So let's look at the next one. Okay, the next one is the browser object model. Is the JavaScript default function or default variable that you can use in order to get some information from the browser. Okay, so yeah, in all the browser, you'll see a Windows object. So in this Windows object, you can actually get all the information of this browser. Okay, so and all the JavaScript object, right, function or variable will be automatically become this Windows object member. Okay, I show you some example. Okay, if you declare a variable using var, okay, and the name called testing equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. if you console.log windows.testing, you'll get the same thing because this testing variable will automatically assign to a window and it will become a global variable. Okay, but it will be different if you use a let here. So example below, if you declare a variable using let, and if you console.log window.testing2, you'll get undefined because let will not automatically store the variable into the Windows object. Okay, and yeah, let's see what are the functions available in this window object. I probably will show you a common one. Okay, last time when there's no Angular, no React, or no jQuery, this is the only thing we can use. Yeah, so in order to open up a tab and navigate to google.com, we'll use a window.open and put a URL in it, and you open a new tab and go to a Google. Okay, and last time we used to do something like open up a pop-up windows and navigate to some page and where we will show details to the user. And after user have done with a small window, pop-up window, and we need to close that window, then we have to use a window dot close. Okay. Yeah, this is another interesting one. Windows dot inner with. Okay. If you open up a browser, let me show you this thing. If you open up a browser, if you look at the white color area, this is the width and height that we need to get because last time there's no responsive CSS. And we need to use inner width and inner height to do a measurement and some adjustment. And you'll be able to get the width of the browser and the height of the browser. And this is quite useful last time. I'm not sure about now. Okay. And okay, if you want to redirect to another, so sorry, I think, yeah. So if you want to get your current browser URL, okay, you just have to call this variable window.location.href. You'll get https google.com. Okay, but if you want to redirect to another URL, so you need to use this window.location.href and then put the URL that you want to redirect to, and the browser will help you to redirect to another URL, or you can redirect to the same page as well because last time when we develop a not single page application, yeah, this is the way we are doing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you look at the browser, there's a go forward and go back, right? In this Windows object, you can use the same too. If you key in history.back and you'll go to previous page of just now you browse, or if you want to go forward, you just need to use a history.forward and we'll go to uh, the page that you go before, right? Okay, so yeah, these are the most common function that we use in this Windows object. So we call this a boom. So you guys have any question? Yeah, no, it's good. Right, let's proceed to the last one. I think the last one is really an interesting one. Okay, which is DOM. Okay, you guys probably heard about Shadow DOM if you learn JavaScript or React. Okay, if you, yeah, you might know like DOM is actually how we call that. You have the index.html file. Okay, this file will have a lot of element and tag and attribute. All right. But in JavaScript, right, if you were to go to the text HTML file and read the HTML file and try to manipulate the element inside, you probably need to take a lot of time and write a lot of source code to manipulate it. But in browser, they'll help you to convert all this HTML document, they call it document, into an object. So your C DOM is actually referring to this object. So this object called document object model. Okay. So every element here will be converted into an object, and you just have to use the function within the element and to manipulate it. Okay. Okay. If you look at the code below, it is called document, or you can use window.document. It's the same. Okay, from there you can access all the element within the HTML file. Cool, isn't it? All right. So to change the title, okay, you just have to do this document.title equal to hello world, and the title will be changed. Okay. Within the HTML file, there'll be a lot of elements. But in order to get the right element, right, there are three ways to do it. So the first one, we can use ID. Okay, if you look at example below, I have an element called button with the name with the ID called submit button. Okay, so in order to get this element, I just have to call this document.getElement by ID. Then I put a submit button here. So it will return an object of this element below, and then I can play around with that. Okay, how to do that? Then I'll show you later. For now, we identify the way to get element first. All right. Other than that, you can get elements by class name. So the class name here is the CSS class name. Okay. If you look at example above, the get element is without an S at the back. Okay. The reason behind this is that one HTML document can only have one element with one name. Okay. The name cannot be duplicated. If you have two elements with the same name, you probably will get error. That's why document.getElement by ID, there's no s after the element. Okay. But if you look at the class name, the class name, you can apply one class name to a multiple element. Okay. So if you use document.getElements by class name, you'll get an array back. An array will be consists of two elements. Okay, look at the example below. Okay, so these two are having the same class demo. So if you use the function above, you have an array of these two elements. All right. Okay, the third one, get element by tag. I seldom use this simply because if you try to get an element by tag name, it return you a lots of element. So from there, it's really hard to find the element that you want to change. Right. Normally for the element I want to change, I give them an ID so that I can find it by ID. Okay. But still there's a function for this. Yeah. Sometimes people might want to use this so they can just use this to get all the element that they want by tag name. Okay. Okay. Sometimes if you want to find an element within an element, you can do that like this. Okay. You find an element by ID, which is the element is having a main as an ID, and assign it into the X variable. And from X variable, right, you can use the same function as well. X dot get elements by tag name P. It will return you all the P within the main. Yeah. So it's quite flexible. Okay. Okay. Next, let's play around with the function within an element. Okay, we can change the inner text of an element by calling the inner HTML. It's a property. Okay, so what you have to do is that you need to get the element first. So document.get element by ID. So you put in the ID that you want to search. Okay, you get the element first, and then from the element you call inner HTML equal to whatever text that you want to put into this element. Okay, by doing so, the inner HTML will change. All right. So the next one, you can add or remove a class. Okay, sometimes there will be a need, right, to change the class from time to time. When I click this button, I want to change one element's class. But maybe show them the error, maybe show them a warning, maybe show them a success, things like that. So yeah, what I have to do right after I trigger a button click, okay, I get the element, and then from the element, I call a variable, I call a member of this element called the class list. So I give you all the class list here. I just have to call this add function to add the class into this element, and that's it. You'll see the class will have one CSS class name there. Okay, same thing to remove. I need to call the remove function and then put in the class name I want to remove, and that's it. You remove a class name. All right. Okay. So yeah, these are basic function of this element. So let's move to handle an event. Okay. So sometimes if you look at the HTML and maybe there's a button, maybe there's a link, maybe there's what we call that, an object you want to allow user to click it, and when they click, right, we would like to trigger a JavaScript function so that we can do something with this click. Maybe you fill out a form and you want to get all the value back and submit and post back to a website so that we can update the user information. All right. So here we need to handle the event. So in this case, right, the event that we need to handle is click event. So if you have a element, button element like this, okay. So what you need to do is on the attribute on click, okay, you put a JavaScript function into it. And when user click on this button, you trigger the function below. Okay, so this is how it works. So, and this is the first way we can handle the event, and there are several ways you can do it. Let me show you the second one. Okay, if you have a button element and you would like to handle the on click event, so another way you can do it is that after you declare the button element inside the JavaScript here, you find the element by using this document.getElement by ID. Okay, and then call the property here and assign a function to it. Okay, and when user click on this button, you trigger this function. Okay, so this is second way of handling an event. Okay, and third way is that you can use an event listener. Okay, same thing. You have a button element on top inside a JavaScript. You just have to get the element maybe by ID or by tag name or by a class name. Okay, so there's a function called add event listener. Okay, and you need to put in the event that you want to trigger in here, right, which is click. So previous one is on click. Okay, but in this event listener, it will become click event. So this information you actually can find it from the web. Okay, I can yeah, there's a listing there, you can check it out. Okay, and then submit button click. This is the function name. You just put it here, and then right below you'll see there's a function defined here. Okay, after they run this, when user click on this button, it will automatically trigger this function, and you can do something in it. Okay. Okay, here's are the common event on change. On change, that means like if you have an input, maybe a text box, when people type something on it, the value change. So every time the value change, they'll trigger a function. Okay, on click is for can you can use it for button, or you can use it for a link or the other HTML element. Okay, and mouse over and mouse up is something when the mouse over to an element, you want to do something. Okay, or mouse up, when a mouse out of that element, you want to trigger another event. Maybe a file drag and drop. You drag a file on an element, you trigger on mouse over. Okay, this is the use case. Or mouse up, maybe you drag a file in already and you don't want to upload it, and then you drag it out, you trigger a mouse out. Okay. So another common one will be on key down. Key down, that means that you type something. For example, if you want to handle a enter in your form, so that you automatically submit your form information to a server, so you need to handle on key down function. Okay, and on load meanings every time when the HTML is finished loading, and then you can start change the element of the HTML, which is on load. Okay, I'll show you the example later to tell you why we need to use the onload. Alright. Okay, I think this is the last slide. Yeah. Okay, for the Chrome browser, we have some demo to do. Yeah, quick one. Okay, same thing. Inspect element. Alright. So open new tab, go to Google. You just have to type script, Windows, that open, HTTPS. Okay, you refresh, and that's it. You see, you automatically open another Google. Okay, done. The second one, close the current tab. This is tricky. Okay, Windows dot close. Okay, let me refresh. You close it. Okay, how to open it back? Oh, okay. I need to comment this, otherwise it will keep closing. All right. Okay. The next thing, show the inner height and width. So let's do a console.log. Console.log. Script console.log. Windows.inner height. Console.log. Windows.inner width. Okay, I probably can show you something cooler. Console.log. You can throw a whole Windows object in it. Okay, let's see what you will do. Okay, first of all, you'll see two numbers. Okay, one is height, one is width. The next one, you'll see the object. This is the window object. You can get all the value here. Okay, you can see what are the functions that it has and what are the value that you need to find. You can find all here, right? Cool, isn't it? Okay, so let me comment up. Okay, redirect the current page to Google. Okay, so we just have to use a location. Sorry. Okay. Okay, just refresh. You go to Google straight away. All right. So I need to comment this. I cannot go back. Okay, let's come back. Okay, the history. All right. So we just either one window.history dot back. But currently I don't have a history here. I don't think you'll go back. Okay, let me create some history. Okay, copy. I go to Google. Okay, and then I'm not sure whether I can create history by doing this. You see, here go back. I paste, enter. You see, first of all, I navigate to my file, and then you go to google.com because I use the history.back. Okay, yeah, I think done. This is browser object model, right? The last thing will be DOM. Yeah, I have prepared some content in it. One is the CSS style, the button read, and some text in it, so that I can show a demo to you. Okay. Okay. First of all, change title. Right. To change the title, you just have to use a Windows document title. Okay. Hooray. Right. But if you feel like this is quite long, just use a document title. It's the same. All right. So I need to open this. Okay. You see the title? Hooray. Okay. You can manipulate the DOM by using the document. Okay. The next thing will be the get the element by ID. Let's say, what other ID that I have? Button. Okay, let's do it. Then a script. Let button is equal to maybe a submit button, a like button. Okay, is equal to document dot get element by ID. Okay, and then I put ID here, like button. So the name is case sensitive. You have to get the right ID so that it only return to you. Okay, so let's see what are the things that we got. Console.log. Then we throw the button variable here. Okay. Okay, let's do it. Inspect. Okay, refresh. Yep. If you look at here, right, you see it's a whole button element. See? Okay, done. Okay, get element by class name. Okay, so I told you just now, for class name, you need to use the element with S. So let class element, okay, is equal to document dot get elements by class name. Okay, so you find the one with the class name. Red color. No, I put two red color here, maybe. Button red. All right. So we have one element here with a button red class, and the other one is a button. Okay, let's see what we get. I actually define this class on top of here, and with by setting the background color to red color. Okay, so I put it here. So I will expect I expect an array return to me. Okay, so when I refresh, oh sorry, I refresh, you see HTML collection is an array. You see 1 and 2. One is the first one will be strong. Yep, and the second one will be the button. So in order to use them, you actually have to find a single one like class element, maybe array, right? You have to put a 0 or 1. Okay, and then you only can change the information inside, maybe the inner text. Okay, this is very strong. Okay, yeah, right. Let's see what happened. You see it become the text that I typed in just now. Okay, cool. Okay, but be careful of the indexing. It will always change. Okay, the next one, get element by tag name. So yeah, it will work if you try to get an element by tag name, just that the use case probably is not that popular. Maybe P. Okay, if you look at here, right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 P. So you see 4, right? So let we get EL is equal to, okay, console.log. I'll put EL here. So we comment up all the code just now so that we will reduce some noise. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, you see the HTML collection here, there are 4P. Okay, if you mouse over it, the Chrome DevTool will actually highlight which one you actually pointing to. Yeah. Okay. See. Okay. Okay. The next one, we change the inner text for the strong to this one. Okay. So I need to take away the red color class because it's quite hard to read the text. Okay. So strong means both So first of all, I need to get a doc, get the element by tag name, which is strong. Let strong el means element, document get element by tag name. Yeah. Okay, so I just need to put a strong here, right? So strong el, because if you call this function, you return you an array of an element. So if you want to change the text here, you need to point it to the right one. For me, I only have one, so I point it to the first one. Okay, dot inner text, inner HTML or inner text will do.
I think it's a typo. It's a string EL instead of strong EL.
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay. So yeah, I change it 1, 2, 3. All right. So come here, the heads here, it changed to 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, we can utilize the inner HTML. Yeah, I need to show you probably. Hold on. Let me copy this. Okay. There's another property called inner text. So what are the difference between inner HTML and inner text? Inner text we are allowed to put text only. But if you want to use the inner HTML, we can use something called we can put an element in it. Okay. So I put an italic here. So later on, if you look at I comment this. Later on, if you look at the document, the 1, 2, 3 will become italic. You see? Okay. So inner HTML allow you to put HTML text also, but inner text you only allow to put text. Okay, this is the difference. Okay. Next one, add button read to a reply button. So the reply button here is no color. So I need to change the color as well. So let me get document. Oh, sorry. Script. Okay. Reply button is equal to document dot get element by ID. So replies button. Let's see, am I getting the right one? Just copy and paste to be safe. Okay. So by using that, so reply button, I can use a CSS class list here. Okay. Dot add. So I can add a class by using add function. So the function that the class that I need to add is this. Okay. And yeah, that's it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it will become red color. Okay. Okay, next thing, handle on click event and redirect to Google in element. Okay. So if we were to handle on click event in element, so we can do this. Okay, we need to create a function called maybe like button. Okay. We create a function first called a like button click. Okay. And then we don't need to accept any parameter. Okay, from here, right, we use the Windows object that I showed you just now, window.location. href to Google. Okay, and then we copy this function name and we go to the element that I want to handle the event. Okay, this one like button. Okay, we type on click. So if you type something like on, right, they'll show you a lot of things. So you just select the one that you want. Okay, so you put a function. So within this value, right, you are actually need to put a open bracket and close bracket so that you execute this function. Okay, so by doing so, we are executing this function in this on click. Okay, if you don't want to run this function, okay, let me show you another one here. On click, we can type something here, maybe alert. Okay, we can reply button click. All right, so we have two function handle. You are not only allowed to put a function name here, you can actually type some JavaScript in this on click too. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Refresh. Okay, if we click like, then it will redirect to Google. Okay, so we need to go back here. So just now we handle the reply button on click event as well. So if we click here, right, it'll show you this model. Okay, right, this is how it works. So we need to remove this one because I'm going to use a JavaScript to handle this event reply button. Okay, right. So another one, I'm gonna show you how to handle an on-click event in JavaScript. So here we go. Document dot get element by ID. So we assign this into a variable. Okay. Dot on click. Okay. Then you assign a function into it. Anonymous function. Okay. Then you can write something. Alert. Hi. Okay. Let's do it. See, you trigger the function as well. This is second way we can do it because in different scenario we want to handle the event in different way. So browser actually provide us quite a number of way we can handle the event. All right. So this is another way. The third way will be the add event listener. Okay. Reply button. The add event listener. So add event listener, you need to use click instead of on click. Okay. And you can write a function here also if you want to. Okay. Otherwise, um, otherwise you just write a function on another place and give it a name. Button click. Okay. And then you put a name into it. Okay. Both are the same. It depends on your preference. Okay. So let me format a little bit. Okay. So in the implementation here, I want to put alert. Hi. Okay. So same thing will happen. See? Okay. Yeah. I think there are lots of things I didn't cover here, but I do expect you to try out the exercise here because the exercise here are quite interesting. It's not so dull like the exercise show you. I give it to you last week. Okay, so if you come here, copy. Okay, so there'll be some test case. There'll be a browser here. There'll be a text editor here. You just have to follow whatever things they said, and it is quite simple. And yeah, so I hope by going through this exercise, right, you'll learn everything here. You'll know how to write a proper JavaScript because Angular fundamental required JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. It's not only a shadow one, but it's really a lot of it. The whole Angular is written by JavaScript. Okay, so you have to get familiar with the thing that I told you earlier. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all from me. I think I exceeded some. I think 38 minutes. Yeah, so that's all from me. I send the slide to you later. Okay. Do you have any question? Yeah, I see there's one question. Is there any documentation where we can go through JavaScript and learn and explore it more? Okay. So this one I share with you. You have to go through so that you have um, more understanding about JavaScript. Okay. And then the other website I can put it into the slide also is called MDN. MDN is my favorite because it has every single details of JavaScript. You can learn a web development here. Why is it an Indian? I can't read. Okay, let me see here. How come? Shouldn't be right. This is weird. Yeah, but yeah, MDN is the one I always go. Yeah. So JavaScript, you probably need to like see here because within an hour time, I probably cannot show you everything because the time is too short already. And I hope you can go back home and learn further so that you know what are there. And because in Angular, we really depends on JavaScript very heavily. Yeah. So I'll attach. I put a link here. Okay. Okay. Yep. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Do you guys have any other question? If no, right? Yeah, I think thank you very much for your time.